That was good timing. So, why am I playing that? Hi guys, why am I playing that? Let me, that is Colin Paul. Colin Paul, let me just get his YouTube channel up. Colin may be with us. I'm not sure if he is because he's a busy guy. Obviously an entertainer, a singer. And there's a reason I'm playing Colin. Colin has been extremely helpful. Let me just get you his YouTube channel. Pretty sure that it is. Tell me, Colin, if you're watching, tell me if I'm wrong. Hi, Colin. Well, Colin is here with us now. This is Colin's channel. Now, Colin also sings many Elvis songs. Many Elvis songs. Let me just thanks, Colin. Thanks for joining us. I've had a bit of a hectic day. And I warn you all, the kids are home, the dogs are home, my wife's home, so expect noise. Let me just get Colin's site back up one more time. I'm going to quickly play, if Colin doesn't mind, I'm going to play a bit of an Elvis song that he's sung. He sings all kinds of music. He's a brilliant all-round entertainer. Now, he has really helped me out. I decided that I wanted to do a special today about Todd Slaughter. Now, many of you may not know who Todd Slaughter is. He ran an amazing British Elvis fan club, I think, as well, way back in the 70s, maybe even the late 60s, definitely the 70s. And he is known as one of the last people to have ever been filmed in public with Elvis shortly before he passed away. So, thanks, Colin. So, everyone, if you could just give Colin a welcome, because he has linked me up with Todd Slaughter, and I'm hoping that we can get together, maybe invite Todd to our live streams, defending Elvis Presley. Fans want the truth. Obviously, we are Team Elvis. We're pretty new at this, so we're learning as we go. I thought I'd pick out a song from Colin. Now, I was listening to one earlier, actually. Colin prides himself that he doesn't have to wear the jumpsuit. He could just do his thing without a jumpsuit. Colin, I think you'd look good in a jumpsuit. Are you going to try a jumpsuit one day? So, I've been doing a load of research about I don't know. You look pretty smart in this one, right? The round of applause. And Colin, you even got the arm swinging down to a T, my friend. You got that perfect. So Colin is good friends with Todd Slaughter, and they've done some very good interviews together, obviously discussing all the different things that happen with Todd Slaughter and Elvis. They've obviously done some shows together. Let me just see if I can get one up without the kids completely ruining it. So let's have a look. Now we're going to play some old vintage footage of Todd Slaughter. I'm hoping that we can get Todd to join us one day. Now I have a massive amount of respect for Todd, and that is because I love the way that he defends Elvis. Now Todd is, let me just turn this back a bit. Now Todd is the original Elvis defender, the original. And he's really put to the test in a minute on an interview, which I'm not sure if it's the BBC, I'll double check that. And he stands his ground. He's not wavered. The interviewer is probing and digging, and I'm there listening, even though it's 30, 40 years ago. I'm like, oh, I wonder if Todd's going to slip up. I wonder if Todd's going to give in. And he doesn't. Now, I've already played it on a preview on the video that I posted on our video channel, which is separate to the live streams. So I'm going to play that. But before I do play it, I want to just show Colin and Todd Slaughter just having a bit of fun, just messing around, and just obviously Colin's doing his thing. He's an entertainer, a performer, a singer. But then you've got, you know, a much older, I say that respectfully, Todd Slaughter. They've got the kids screaming in the background. This just gives you an idea of I have 5 kids, by the way. The joys of children. Let me just let them stop screaming. We got our coffee. Coffee is what cures everything. So this just gives you a feel for Colin's channel, his YouTube channel. Please subscribe to Colin. And it's Colin Paul, yeah. And this gives you an idea. They've obviously been doing different shows. I know that Colin also plays in my local town in a place called Breen, which used to be called Pontins, I think, but I don't think it's called that anymore. It's like a seaside holiday camp, and I think Colin plays there. But I'm guessing, Colin, that you play all around the world, or definitely all around England. So let's have a little listen to Todd and Colin doing their thing. I'm guessing to a room of Elvis fans.
On tour. Unlike 20 odd years ago when they did Elvis, That's the Way It Is, it's a different animal altogether. Musicians won't pay for the films that they appear in, that they were originally contracted to appear in. Songwriters weren't paying. Everybody that was involved wants paying. And of course, Warners don't own it all. The estate of the 2 guys that produced it, they've got a 20% share. So it's a very complicated thing to do. Yes, it would be nice for it to happen. I don't think it would be that easy to do it. But within the archives and in private collections, there are bits of Elvis film which I am desperate to see. Some of which I have. There's a guy in Los Angeles called Sheriff Hanna who has scenes from Elvis movies that have never been seen before. I've seen a scene from Jailhouse Rock. I've seen a scene from King Creole, both of which were never included. Now, his story is that he went round the bins of Culver City stealing films. I don't think that's happened, but there's an awful lot of Elvis film in the hands of private collectors who don't want people to see that film because it's rather like having a Picasso. If you're nutty enough to spend $10 million to buy one, you want to keep it to yourself. Well, with Elvis, you can't keep it to yourself. And bear in mind, all these collectors that have got this material haven't paid for it. It's been nicked, and it don't belong to them. So all the bloopers, all the silly bits, all the bits where Elvis is falling about laughing and having a great time, we never get to see. And in many respects, that was one of the great criticisms to me of the Elvis film. Didn't seem to be having a good time when we all know, for most of the time, he was pissing himself laughing. He was having a great time. And where were the women?
See, I love the way he talks about him, like he's an old friend. I just want to do a clip where it shows them both together, Colin and Todd, and then we're gonna play my video clip, and then we're gonna break it down and make some comments. I just wanted to say, Mindy Miller put an excellent comment on the video that we made last night. I'm not sure if any of you watched last night's live stream, but we were very fortunate. And Mindy Miller had joined us on our Facebook 24/7 Messenger and was speaking to us for at least half an hour to Team Elvis, you guys. And we are just very proud to have had Mindy Miller join us. That's the third time now that she's joined us. She was full of respect. She was so lovely, so polite. And we obviously think Mindy Miller is a beautiful person, very genuine, and one of the few people, you know, women that were close to Elvis that have not mentioned negative things. She always speaks very highly and very positive of Elvis, a beautiful lady who really understood Elvis from the heart, his deep spiritual, religious, sensitive nature that Elvis had, that we all know that he had. But then you get Mindy Miller, and when you listen to her different interviews, and there's many on YouTube, you really understand that she truly loved Elvis, and she was a genuine girlfriend. And in some ways, quite unknown. Not, I wouldn't say that all Elvis fans know who Mindy Miller is. But as soon as you do some research, start watching her interviews, understand her story, how they met, what they went through together, and that she's had her own career in her own right. She was a great singer, and you realize this woman, Mindy Miller, was not using Elvis. She was with him because she truly felt a connection to Elvis. She knew it was fated that they would one day meet. So later I will read that comment that she posted on the video. And she is so gracious towards me and towards you guys, Team Elvis. And you guys really mean a lot to Mindy. She really does want to join us again and again. And if she wasn't so busy, she would be on much more often. And then she mentioned about her up and coming next event, which I think is in Germany, where Elvis served his military service. She'll be performing there with an ETA. Yeah. And this event sounds amazing. I'd love to go because it's in Germany. I don't think it's that tough to travel there. So I'm considering going, guys. Seriously. I'd love to meet Mindy Miller. So I just want to play a little bit of this, showing them together, and then I'm going to play the comment.
Because I've watched it many times, 3 times in the cinema, and from Amazon probably 15 times. The more I watch it, the more I agree with some of Elvis's family, particularly the Smiths, because nobody, with the exception of one person, comes out smelling of roses here. You know, Austin Butler was fantastic. No one can take that away from him. But of course, what we're faced now with is Austin Butler wearing the King's crown. And that's good in one way, but detrimental in another. There are many stories in that film that new people who have gone to see the film will believe every word of it. But there's a good portion of that film that is wholly inaccurate. And that doesn't make Elvis look good. And what we need to do is make Elvis look good. But the film has been made.
I'll stop it there. Now, I think Todd, without being rude, is in his mid-70s. Yeah, I think he turns 80 in 2025. We've got footage of Todd going right back to 1971. But my point is this. All these years later, over 45 years later, he's defending Elvis Presley. He's defending Elvis Presley. Todd is the original Elvis defender. Forget Louis, Todd. And I want to honor that. And I want to show respect for that. And yeah, I want Todd to feel good when he watches this live stream because he deserves it. And Elvis would be so pleased with Todd. Now, Todd was one of the last people to be filmed with Elvis in public. Yeah, we've seen the footage on YouTube. I think most of you may have watched it if you've heard of Todd Slaughter. If you haven't, please jump over and watch it. I'm going to play it now anyway. And little did Elvis Presley know. Now, you can see from the footage, Elvis isn't that well. He's a bit puffy, very friendly, beautifully dressed, very down to earth. And you can tell there's a rapport between them that is calm and genuine. And Todd speaks about his experience on how it felt to meet Elvis in real life, saying that nothing else came up to how it felt when he met Elvis, that Elvis was just so calm and cool, not trying to be the big star, not the big show off, just genuine, honest. That's how Todd found him. And little did Elvis know that within weeks, I'm not sure exactly how long, but very soon after, Elvis passed away, God rest his soul. And this footage went round the world. But Elvis would never have known that that man, I think the president of the UK Elvis Presley fan club, would spend the rest of his life defending Elvis Presley. And just to say that with Colin Paul and Todd Slaughter, there's a few of these interviews with them both sat together in an audience. Very, very good interviews. Brilliant. The questions are great. The things that Todd is saying. Colin is excellent in the way that he interviews Todd and the way that the friendship, the chemistry between Colin and Todd is very genuine. You can tell they are good mates. Yeah, proper pals. Yeah, and I highly recommend you guys jump over and watch Colin and Todd through these interviews. I was watching them today. I've watched quite a few of it. They're quite long, and please jump over. So I hope I haven't embarrassed you, Colin, because I put you on the spot a bit. So guys, let's play my today's video, and then what we're going to do, we're going to talk about the things that are said. Let me just get it up for you guys. So I've got to admit, guys, I've had a busy day, so I had to rush this together. So don't expect it to be the best editing. Let's have a look. Let's just get it up for you guys. Here we go. Hi guys, Louis at Defend. Right, okay. And whilst I'm playing this, I'm going to go through your comments if you don't mind. Hi guys, Louis at Defending Elvis Presley. Fans want the truth. And today's topic is Todd Slaughter, a very famous, well-known man who met Elvis many times and run an Elvis Presley fan club in the UK. We're going to discuss different things that Todd Slaughter did with Greystones, with Elvis Presley, with Colonel Tom Parker. Here's a video showing that Todd Slaughter really was the original Elvis defender. I'm so grateful to Todd Slaughter, the fact that he has been defending Elvis for 50 years. Here's a little snippet of what we're going to talk about. Thanks, guys.
Well, it's not extreme if you remember that, as far as I can see, the book is half true. Goldman himself said in a recent interview that if Elvis Presley was alive, he wouldn't be able to write the book. And the reason he wouldn't be able to write the book was because of the laws of libel.
What effect has the book had so far on the fans who've either read it or read extracts from it?
A lot have been very, very distressed. One or two, surprisingly enough, have said they're going to sell the collection and pack it in. But in the main, it is fair to say that it's given a lot of resolution to the fans. They're going to fight it.
But it has destroyed the Elvis image for some of them.
For one or two, but it's not destroyed the image as far as everyone else realises it. I think that the book is very, very unfair because it has a go at the music industry and the fans as well as Elvis Presley. Goldman obviously is not interested in rock music.
In what ways do you think it's unfair to Elvis Presley himself?
Well, he's not around to defend himself. Some of the facts that Goldman state that he's revealing for the first time have been well-tried legends. It's not very factual, and the interpretation with regard to the drugs is very, very far-fetched.
Well, let's look at that. I mean, the fact is, Presley did take enormous quantities of drugs, and drugs probably killed him. Now, that's true, and why shouldn't it be said?
Well, what's been forgotten is the fact that in the last few years of Elvis Presley's life, he was very, very ill. And he'd been ill for about 7 years. But of course, he did still entertain. Goldman says that he loathed to entertain, but each year Elvis Presley was performing an incredible amount of tours.
But he was a lonely man, wasn't he?
I'm sure he was. He was lonely because he had to be. You see, Elvis was one of the first stars of his kind, and consequently, no one else had had any experience whatsoever of handling such a situation, and the easiest thing to do was to surround himself by so-called friends to protect himself.
You see, in calling for the book to be banned, I just wonder whether you're taking the whole thing too seriously, because although it may do something to diminish his personal reputation, it will do nothing to diminish the impact that his music made.
Of course it won't. In fact, I mean, a call to ban the book is going out to the fans. We don't want the fans to be hoodwinked into buying it. No one is going to stop the publisher from selling the book. But we feel, and most of the fans feel, that it isn't fair to have a publication that's really only bringing out the same old stories over and over again, none of which have really been proved.
But don't you think one of the problems is that fan clubs such as your own tend to put people like Presley on pedestals from which they are almost bound to be knocked off?
Well, that could be said, but we have a fan club for Elvis Presley because we like him. There were fan clubs for John Lennon, who sadly is now going through the mill again, because they liked him. And sad that it seems, come Sunday, no newspaper is going to say that Natalie Wood fell off a boat. It's going to be glamorised much more than that.
What do you say finally to Goldman's conclusion that Elvis Presley was overrated? He was very good to begin with, but then he abused his talent and his career went down.
I don't agree with that at all. Elvis Presley sold the equivalent of 1 billion records. That's one record for every fourth person on this earth. And if you remember, 1 in 3 is Chinese. In other words, virtually everybody's got an Elvis record. If he wasn't that good, people would not have bought them.
Mr. Slaughter, thank you very much.
Right, let me just pause that because there's a second half to that. So the thing that really stands out with that, that interview really gets me here. And I'll tell you what, I love the fact it's so vintage and Todd is looking very young, but you can't fake the look in Todd Slaughter's eyes. I'm trying to explain it to you. This is why I was so impressed with it. He's so relaxed. He's so comfortable in his own skin, very confident in a very, how can I say it, in a very toned down, easygoing way. And he's ready for any questions. He's waiting for that interviewer to fire the shots. Boom, boom, boom. He's firing the questions. Every question, I'm not sure how well you guys could hear it. Every question is to discredit Elvis. Now we are here. We are defending Elvis Presley. We've only really been going for 4 months. Team Elvis, us together, taking care of business, standing loud and proud to hold on to Elvis's dignity. And he deserves it. Elvis can't defend himself. He even says it. Elvis isn't here to defend himself. He says it in the interview. And all the way through the question, and this is why I've got so much respect for Todd, all the way through the interview, the guy is trying to break him down, make him say something negative, admit wrongdoing, almost to forcefully say, the interviewer is almost forcefully saying to him, come on, he's a druggie, he's not popular anymore, his music is out of date, he's there constantly, he's not got the same kind of record sales anymore. And every question all the way through, Todd Slaughter counteracts and comes back with brilliant answers. He doesn't say it rudely. Todd, just very laid back, very calm. Bang, 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 bang. There you go. There you go. There you go. The best answer you could ever have for every question. Todd, if you ever watch this program, the way you answer those questions, I'm not sure what year that was, are amazing. The way that you, under fire, under pressure, on TV cameras pointed right at you, quite close up, a very headstrong interviewer, I forget his name, but I do recognize him from the 70s, and you had the upper hand of that interview. Todd, you were in charge of that interview. The guy tried to take control and manipulate you and wrap you around his little finger, and it was the other way around. You had the upper. I would call you, if it was a boxing match, you won. In that, you won. The interviewer was knocked out. So feel proud, my friend. Be proud of what you achieved just in that one interview. And I know that you've had many, many interviews over the decades. And even now, I think, Todd, if you have that exact same interview now, even you're about to turn 80, congratulations. You're still doing it, mate. Tales of the Unexpected, yeah? Todd Slaughter's Elvis Stories of the Unexpected. We're going to have a bit of fun with that in a minute. That's the other thing that Todd Slaughter does. He has another YouTube channel. Todd Slaughter's, I think it's Tales of the Unexpected, and Todd Slaughter's Elvis Tales of the Unexpected. If you did that same interview now and were asked the same questions, Todd, you'd answer those questions exactly the same. Because even now, 40 odd years later, you still defend Elvis Presley. And we have to thank you for that. We have to thank a man that has spent his life defending Elvis. All of us are so grateful for that. Seriously, guys, come on. We have 26,000 subscribers. Thousands of people will watch this live stream eventually. And we are proud, Todd, we are proud that you have defended Elvis for your whole life. Elvis is proud as well. He must be. He must be so proud of you that you have held him up such high regard for the whole of your life. You've dedicated your life to defending Elvis. And we thank you. We thank you from the bottom of our heart. And I know Elvis thanks you. I know it. Come on, you met him. You're as close as any Elvis fan could ever get. You stood with him. You stood with him, looked at him eye to eye. Isn't that as good as it gets? We're very envious, Todd. So I think I said exactly how we all feel. So let's play the second half of this. I find this story beautiful, and the way that Todd Slaughter tells it is excellent.
Story of the last days of Elvis Presley.
I hope you enjoyed that, guys. And let's listen to Todd's story about how he met Elvis Presley, the king of rock and roll, and could have been one of the last people that ever met him in public. Hope you've enjoyed this, guys. Have a great day.
Presley wasn't going to tour in this country, at least for the foreseeable future. We decided to take fans to the States, which we did. We used to take them to Las Vegas, see him in concert there and as part of a holiday. But by the end of the 70s, Colonel Parker, Elvis Presley's manager, thought it would be a good idea for us to not go to Las Vegas, but to see Elvis Presley on tour. So we went to what turned out to be the very last two concerts that Elvis Presley performed. The film of me meeting Elvis was in actual fact the last piece of film ever shot of Elvis Presley. I was taken to Indianapolis Airport to be presented with an award for, at that time, being fan club president of the Elvis Presley fan club of Great Britain for 10 years. I was there on my own. I didn't have a camera, but I did have some money. So I went up to one of the news people and said, shoot a piece for me, and I gave him $100. And the film that you see is that piece of film. Now, it was said to me at the time that Elvis Presley wasn't very well. There'd been quite a lot of speculation in the press that his health was suffering.
And there was a lady from a TV network in the States who said to me, if you get the chance to look at Elvis Presley closely, do so, because our makeup person thinks that he's got about 6 months to live. And as it turned out, it was just a little more than 6 weeks. Before meeting Elvis Presley, I'd met everyone, the Beatles, the Stones, anybody that you can think of, but nothing really prepared me for meeting Elvis Presley. And I guess, what do you say to someone that you've admired for so many years? And it's impossible other than to just be a bit of an idiot, quite frankly.
Love it. Love it. How, come on, seriously, guys, how would you act?
First of all,
how would you act if you were face to face with Elvis Presley? That close, that close. Let's just see if I can get the picture up. Honestly, what would you do? Now, Todd basically says that he froze. Let's have a look. So I stored the picture here so I could show it. So, I mean, look how close they are, guys. Right up close, right up close. I just want to quickly give a special warm welcome to Presley Mania. We know that Presley Mania is, to me, one of the best Elvis YouTube channels around. One of the best. I mean that. We all love Rhonda. All of us watch Rhonda. We all love her. And we all look forward to her videos. So, Rhonda, thank you so much for joining us. If you're not subscribed to Rhonda, please subscribe to her. Her videos are immaculate. Thank you, Rhonda. And she's beautiful. Rhonda is a beautiful lady. So, guys, everyone say hello, please. So, Rhonda, just so you know, we're doing a Todd Slaughter special. Now, I've been very lucky. Let's have a look.
First of all, how are you?
I've been very lucky because Colin Paul, the entertainer. Oh, hang on 1 second. But not in here, guys. Hello, just a second, guys. But Tina. Hello. Right, let me be quiet. Yes, okay. 1 second. Go and get it for me. Bring it to me and I'll fix it for you. As you can see, we're in my lounge. So the kids are going to get noisy. So I'm not sure how much longer I can keep going. But guys, everyone jump over to Rhonda and subscribe. But Colin Paul, I've been very lucky. He's going to introduce us to Todd Slaughter. So I'm hoping we can have a chat with Todd Slaughter. I'm hoping that he's going to join in our live streams. I want to do some more videos about Todd. I thought one of his shows, let's have a look a minute. Let me just play this for you guys. Right, 1 second.
For many years now, people have been talking about on tour. Let's release on tour.
Just watch this. Here we are, guys.
It's not going to happen. But the reason it's not going to happen is Warner's who own a good proportion of it, spent all their money on the Buzz film. And the Buzz film, in many respects, hasn't made enough money, believe it or not, because in real terms it cost £300 million in 2 years to make. So it was an incredibly expensive film. Now, the box office has been great, but you have to remember that only 30% of the population now go to cinemas. So it hasn't been as big as it could have been had there not been COVID. The good thing is that, of course, streaming is now going to start. It's already on virtually every platform. Now, what the take-up of that is, I really don't know. I mean, I've watched it on Amazon because I'm Amazon Prime. Still have to pay for it, but it's a loyalty to Amazonia. But it's everywhere. Let's see how long it lasts. But I will go back to what I said at the beginning. If Elvis saw the film, he would not like the way that his mum was treated. He certainly wouldn't. He'd be well pissed off, to be honest with you. I mean, he absolutely adored his mum. And to see her depicted in that way, he would not have been happy. But, you know, that's me. It was great cinema. Totally unfair to Elvis, his mother, and even Colonel Parker got a good whipping. many of you will think he possibly deserved that whipping. But every manager of every artist has made more than their fair few quid out of Elvis. But of course, what you have to remember, when Elvis was paid, I think it was $170,000 to appear on the Frank Sinatra show in 1960, Marty Wilde and Billy Fury were paid 15 quid by Larry Parnes. There's a big difference. Absolutely. Yeah.
Brilliant.
That's the moving on to talk with you.
I love it. Guys, seriously, jump over and watch these interviews. Colin, can I ask you, how many of these did you do with Todd? I think I found 2. Let's just have a look. Let's just click on your videos. Now, Colin is a singer, an entertainer, so I'm sure he'd love, if any of you guys need an entertainer, I'm sure that Colin would love to do it because he just loves doing it. His passion, he loves doing it. But let's get Colin to wear a jumpsuit, yeah? Colin, you're going to have to wear a jumpsuit, my friend. It's okay. It's okay. Right, so there's some brilliant. I want to just play, because Colin has helped me out here. So I do want to play a bit more of Colin's music just to embarrass him a little bit more. Right, let's see if... Right now, mama.
Well, that's all right, mama. That's all right for you. That's all right, mama. It's just any way you do. That's all right. Yeah, that's all right. That's all right now, mama. Any way you do. That's all right. Yeah, that's all right now, mama.
All right, yeah, come on. Loved it, loved it. See, you've got a lot of fans, Colin, already. Look, you've only been on for 20 minutes and you've got them all like clambering over you. So, okay, so a bit more with Todd Slaughter. Now, I'm not sure how well you guys, actually, one more thing just to embarrass Colin a little bit more. I'm going to do Tales of the Unexpected. We'll do that in a second, but let's just, Colin, can we make the Elvis fans here on Elvis, Team Elvis, defending Elvis, fans want the truth, can we make them have a sing-song? Are we ready, guys? Touching you. Come on then. Love it. Love it. Sorry, I had to do that, Colin. And I know, Francis, I'm only joking about the jumpsuits. I think Colin looks very smart the way he dresses at his shows, he looks dapper. Right. So, Tales of the Unexpected. Why am I playing that? Let's find it. How many of you guys remember Tales of the Unexpected? Are you ready? Love it, love it. Now, why am I playing that? Because Todd Slaughter, I've been trying to learn about Todd. So I wanted to just promote his YouTube channel. Let me just try and find it again. I probably won't find it now. So let's have a look. So Todd has his own channel. Right, here's one.
Welcome to my Tales of the Unexpected.
Right, it's called Todd Slaughter's Tales of, let's have a look. Todd Slaughter's Tales of the Unexpected. Todd Slaughter's Tales of the Unexpected. Yeah? And so, guys, because we owe Todd, Todd has devoted his life into defending Elvis Presley. Todd is the original Elvis defender. The original. Come on. We've been going 4 months with Team Elvis. Yeah? Todd's been going for 50 years, guys. Yeah? A very, very famous, I think he was the president of the British Elvis Presley fan club. I think many of you guys were members of his fan club over the decades. Yeah? We know that he did the original, this is part of what I've learned, guys. He did the original Graceland tour. I think, was it in 76, 77? Priscilla tries to take the credit for the launching of the Living Museum at Graceland. No, Todd Slaughter was doing it with Vernon and with Colonel Tom Parker way before Priscilla came along. Todd is one of the originators of the Graceland tour. It was probably partly his idea to open Graceland as a living museum. Think about that, guys. People say that it was Morgan Maxfield. We know about Morgan Maxfield, the guy who died in the aeroplane, and Jack Sodden was like his assistant. But no, Todd Slaughter was doing private tours. I think with Colonel Tom Parker. I think way before everyone else. He's the originator and the original Elvis Presley defender, the original. So let's have a listen to Todd with his YouTube channel. He's got 284 subscribers. Todd Slaughter's Elvis's Tales of the Unexpected. Let's listen to one of his tales. Let's see if we can increase his subscribers. And Todd Slaughter, if you ever do watch this, please, I hope you don't mind that I'm playing your video. I don't like to play other people's stuff because it's a bit naughty, but we're here to honor you. So I hope you don't mind. I'm going to play this. I have not watched this, so I don't know what it's going to say.
Since running the Elvis Presley fan club, there are two questions that I'm always answered. One is, what was it like meeting Elvis? Which I've answered many times. And the second one is, did Jimmy Savile fiddle with me? We will address that a little bit later. One thing that is remarkable is the great 208, Radio Luxembourg, was the Elvis radio station for Europe. It played Elvis before the BBC and continued to play Elvis throughout the time it was broadcasting. And it's very interesting that the BBC did not send anyone to the States to meet, see, or talk to Elvis. But Radio Luxembourg did. Now, when I first came up with the idea of a satellite TV show that Elvis should do, I started this thing called Elvis via Telstar. And I got a lot of publicity in 1962 for having this idea, because no one had ever thought that Elvis could appear on television by satellite. And one of the people that sort of contacted me was, I have to look because I've got a really old mind now, was a guy called Sir Edward Lewis. And he was the boss of Decca Records. And Decca was the company that used to distribute Elvis Presley records in the UK before they did it themselves. Now, he had me in his office. No, he asked me to come to his office and said, I can't really help you because, you know, we only distribute RCA product, but the person that you should see is someone called Jimmy Savile, because he hosted on Radio Luxembourg the biggest show of all, called the Teen and 20 Disc Club. of which Elvis was member number 11321 of the TTDC. Now, this was great for me because I'd heard of this great DJ who was not at shame during those days, and he helped me collect a petition of signatures of 250,000, which he took to Colonel Parker. Now, as I said earlier, no DJs or presenters or news people from the BBC ever went to see Elvis, which in many respects is a disgrace. But if you look back over the years, as well as the host of the Teen and 20 Disc Club, obviously Tony Prince went there. Who else can I think of that travelled to the States from Radio Luxembourg? I have to look at my little list again. Obviously, Mark Wesley went to see him. Peter Owsley, he actually went to see Elvis and appeared in Elvis, That's the Way It Is, along with Tony Prince. Obviously, me, not that I did anything for Radio Luxembourg other than edit their listener magazine, Club 28. And of course, there were other people involved, like Don Wardell. Don Wardell was a Radio Luxembourg DJ who then went to work for RCA in Los Angeles, putting together Elvis Presley records after Elvis passed. There was Alan Bailey, who used to produce Presenting Elvis Presley, which was hosted by Barry Aldridge. So Radio Luxembourg was the medium wave distributor of Elvis Presley news, views and music across Europe. And not many people realise that the BBC played absolutely no part in that. So,
well, he's a wealth of knowledge, isn't he? And there's another interview that I found earlier, but I could listen to him all day. This man, he's talking about the 60s. We know that he met the Beatles. I'm pretty sure he met the Rolling Stones. I think there's one thing where he says that he was with Jimi Hendrix for the whole day, didn't even realize he was with him. So bit by bit, I've been squeezing together some different snippets, and I did find another news clip, which I did want to play you. The reason I liked it is because he talks about his friendship with Colonel Tom Parker. So I'm going to play that for you guys. Let's just find it again. So someone said that he may be on our 24/7 Facebook chat. Let me just double check. Let's have a look. Let me just message I'm just going to message you, Colin. I'm so pleased that Rhonda has joined us. Rhonda, thank you so much for joining us. Really means a lot. Presley Mania. We love Presley Mania. Please subscribe to her channel. She's amazing. Right, let me just see if... thanks, Rhonda. Thank you. I'm just going to say thank you to Rhonda. Right, let me just... brilliant. Colin says it's fabulous. Now, just so you know, guys, if you want to interact with the live stream, you can leave a voice note and I'll play it now while we're live. But thanks, Colin. I didn't want to embarrass you or put you on the spot too much, but you're an entertainer, so you're used to being put on the spot. It was Amy Collette. You know we love you. So Amy is on at the moment. Amy is my favorite researcher. Me, and I really, really have a lot of time for Amy. She's an important person in my life. She has been so good to me. So Amy, I hope you're okay. I'm just saying hello to Amy. Right, let me just quickly just see if on the 24/7, just in case, if Todd's managed to find us. I don't think he has. But Todd, if you're listening, please join us one day. I know you're a busy guy, but I'm just quickly checking. I don't think he has. But Todd, you are very, very welcome. We just want to thank you. All of us collectively, Team Elvis, including people like Rhonda on Presley Mania and Amy Collett, our researcher, and obviously your close friends with Colin. We just want to show you that we are very grateful for all your years of service to the Elvis fans. It does matter. Maybe you haven't been thanked enough for the dedication that you've had going way back to the 60s and the way that you have stood up for Elvis, stood up for his honor, kept his pride up. It really does matter. It does make a difference. We do care about it. Even though it's all these decades of past, it really, really is important to us that we know that someone like you has been there for Elvis through all the decades, all the years that we've loved Elvis. We have all loved Elvis for 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years. We've all loved him our whole lives, and Lisa Marie. We grew up with Lisa Marie. We all love Lisa Marie. And you have been there for us when we were kids. When I was a kid, in the late 70s, growing up, a teenager, you were there for us defending Elvis. Thank you. It means a lot. Right. I did find it interesting, the friendship that you had with Colonel Tom Parker. So I thought I would play that as well. I hope you don't, again, Todd, I hope you don't mind that we're doing this.
Colonel Parker very, very well. He was a tremendous character as far as I was concerned. He was, like every manager, out for his own. But, you know, he only ever managed one act. He wasn't like Larry Palms or Brian Epstein. He only looked after Elvis. And he did his best. He launched Elvis into a market that hadn't existed before Elvis came around.
But he also, he took for you were ill, and
he took a very personal interest in me.
And he was phoning you up to make sure you're okay.
Yeah, I had a heart transplant 28 years ago. Not sex, drugs, and rock and roll, just bad luck. And he rang my home every day just to check up how I was.
Amazing.
And we spoke to each other thereafter. I mean, I saw him in the States at his home, stayed at his house many times. And all the stories that he told me about his life, particularly how he got from Holland via England, spending 6 months in Bedford and then leaving Liverpool on airship.
What was Elvis like when he walked into a room?
Do you know, I had met lots of stars beforehand. And I always say that, you know, Jimi Hendrix, who I spent a day with and didn't even know who he was. The Beatles, the Stones, Ike and Tina Turner. They were easy to meet. As far as Elvis was concerned, all the people that I had met before never prepared me for meeting Elvis. And when Elvis came in the room, there was a dozen fans in the room. It almost as if he hadn't entered, because you would have expected this 20th Century Fox fanfare and ring lights and that. There was none of that.
And he was very polite.
Very, very, very modest.
Yeah.
He came alive on stage.
Yeah.
Really, like, just really, really, really interesting. I love it. I wonder if we can just, I'm coming up to an hour, guys, so I'm going to have to go. But I wonder if we can find just one more interesting tale from Todd. Let's have a look. I'd love to see a vintage one. My favourite are the vintage ones, but I don't know if there's actually that many on there. Let's have a look. I'm just seeing if anything comes up. Let's have a look. Oh, that's a good question. Did the mafia control Elvis and the Colonel? I think he means... actually, I can hold the phone to this. Let's just have a listen, see what he says.
I'm Todd Slaughter, and welcome to my Elvis Tales of the Unexpected. Now, did you know that half the cheese sold in the United States was originally funded by mafia money? Those cheese and dairy plants. Now, the American mafia families, of course, are still major investors in entertainment. Proceeds from prostitution, narcotics, gay bars, prohibition, gambling and racketeering needed other businesses into which to launder their ill-gotten gains. And those ill-gotten gains went into the music industry, the film industry. But unlike Frank Sinatra, both Elvis and Colonel Parker never had any dealings with mafia bosses. But within their business circles, there were certainly mafia plans.
I dig the sunglasses. Right, Elaine has just mentioned something. I think, Elaine, didn't you send me a link to the TCB logo? Let me just see if it comes up. Let's have a look. I'm sure you did. Right, I'll click on it and I'll just see if it works. Let's just press play.
Hello, I'm Todd Slaughter, and welcome to my Elvis Tales of the Unexpected. Now, we're going to talk about Priscilla. It's his ex-wife. It claimed that she developed the TCB taking care of business necklace, but she didn't. But she did work on the TLC adaptation, which was Tender Loving Care. But also, the lightning bolt at the time was a West Coast mafia symbol, which meant do it in a flash. In other words, don't kill somebody, but do it today. Now, it was Otis Redding that first came up with the acronym TCB in a song he wrote in 64.
Right. I think, let me just see. Let's have a look here a minute. I'm just struggling through, just trying to see how much I can get away with before the kids charge into the room and jump on top of me. So there's a little clip here that I think Elaine sent me. Thank you, Elaine. Elvis for sale. He's Britain's #1 Presley fan. Let's have a look. Let's just try and find a bit. Right. So I think we're talking about Elvis here. So despite his huge popularity in Britain and strenuous efforts to get him to perform here, Elvis never came to England. Regardless, the enthusiasm of the British fans has never been in doubt, and none has been more devoted than Todd Slaughter, the owner and organizer of the official Elvis Presley fan club of Great Britain for nearly 6 decades. Wow. And he's now 76. So I'm guessing this is a couple of years old and in poor health. I hope your health isn't too bad, Todd. Sending you love. Todd has decided to retire. I didn't know about this. So he has found the right person to become custodian of Elvis's legacy in Britain. So I think this is talking about the sale. Let's have a look. This week, the fan club comprising stock, database, office equipment, social media accounts and more was put up for sale. Then it talks about how much it sold for. There were several keen buyers, but when they realized that running the fan club was a full-time job, taking up at least 40 hours a week, they melted away. See, I would have been interested in that years ago. Before I retired, I would have quite proudly run Elvis Presley fan club, because I'm a business entrepreneur. I've done many businesses in my life with my twin brother. Yes, I'm a twin. Wow, that's amazing. Before the internet, joining in a club was the only way that devotees could keep up to date with, interact with their idol. But now, although the website gets 50,000 hits a week, these don't translate into money needed to keep the fan club going. At its peak, soon after Elvis's death in 1997, the club had 36,000 members. Now there are just 3,000. Oh, isn't that sad? But modern day technology, isn't it? That's Todd. That's the problem. The phones changed everything, didn't they? Changed. Everything went online. Everything changed. You don't have to be a jumpsuit wearing Elvis fanatic to join. Most members are normal people, says Todd. They don't dress as Elvis or walk around with quiffs. The club holds regular conventions around Britain where fans gather on holiday parks for a week of Elvis-themed fun. I want that. I want a week of Elvis-themed fun. So, guys, if you're near Weston-super-Mare, Bristol, and you're having a week of Elvis-themed fun, I'd love to be there. Love to be there. Bring my wife, bring my little kids. I'd love it. The original generation of fans now come with children, grandchildren in tow. Some arrive in Bentley and others by bus. The king cuts across class boundaries. And for a long time, Todd was unaware that he had at least one thing in common with his idol, although he had long known that he was adopted soon after his birth in 1945. Todd discovered in 2014 that he was the product of a brief relationship between a Devon girl and an American GI. Wow. That's the first time I've heard of that. Guys, did any of you know that? Colin, did you know that? Did you know that, Colin? He is the spouse of a brief relationship between a Devon girl and an American GI. I never knew that. Colin, did you know? Brilliant. But when he first heard the king, he had no idea that his own father had, like Elvis, been an American soldier holidaying in Great Yarmouth with his adoptive parents, aged 10. He heard Elvis playing on the jukebox and was hooked. That's really interesting. He was the first star of a kind, says Todd. He had everything, the voice, the looks, the star, and he made films that we could all go and see, yet there was always that mystery, that untouchable side to him that got into my veins and has stayed there. He was wonderful, and this incredibly good-looking guy who conquered the world, and he was loyal, and his fans, and he was doing 100 concerts a year when other stars like Elton John only did 4. And I know that Colin has a very special place in his heart for Elvis as well, and Elvis affected Colin's life as well, because me and Colin had a brief chat. So I did know that. Yeah, that's very interesting. Very interesting. Right. I'm going to have to go, guys. I'm going to have to go. We've had a brilliant time, haven't we? So it says here, just want to quickly see, after leaving school, Todd became a mechanical engineer and worked for Radio Luxembourg and Radio Caroline. I didn't know that. And in 1962, the first satellite was launched by the company Tesla, providing a transatlantic television feed. I have to read this, it's too interesting. Todd started a campaign for Elvis via Telstar so his British fans could watch him live on TV. Wow. The campaign, organized in the music press, began taking over his waking hours. He was inundated with letters from Elvis fans and launched a petition for the star's colourful manager, Colonel Tom Parker, to grant their wishes. I'm going to have to read this, guys. It's too interesting. It took more than 10 years, but on January the 14th, 1973, Elvis Presley made history as the first solo entertainer to hold a live concert broadcast internationally by satellite. We all know about this. Hundreds of millions around the world tuned in to watch the Aloha from Hawaii. We'd never have it but for you, Parker told Todd. Wow. I didn't know this. So basically, Todd was involved in the birth of the Aloha from Hawaii, live by satellite, international via satellite broadcast. I didn't know that. Did you know that, Colin? Honestly, this is news to me. In 1967, Todd bought the fan club, which had been set up in 1957 from the publisher of Pop Weekly and Elvis Monthly magazine. He gave up the day job to run both the club and the monthly magazine full-time. But given that there seems no sign of Elvis performing in Britain, Todd spotted an opportunity in 1972. he chartered an aircraft to take 180 Elvis fans on tour to the US, visiting Nashville, Tupelo, Elvis's birthplace, Memphis, Los Angeles, and Las Vegas, where they saw the King perform. I love it. Love it. Colonel Parker took them to the green room after the concert, and here at last Todd met his hero. He presented Elvis with an award from the NME magazine, which we just watched, haven't we? So I didn't know the story behind that. So impressive, guys. Could you imagine the life that Todd has had? Todd says Elvis walked in, and the amazing thing that we didn't notice him at first, he had changed into a suit. The Colonel, Tom Parker, brought him over to us. He was quite the gentleman, calling all men sir and shaking hands, and then all the women ma'am and letting them kiss him. By then, I'd already met Sonny and Cher, the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, Ike and Tina Turner, but none of them prepared me for the meeting the King. He was on a higher plane, a mighty presence. And we know that, guys. Even Mindy Miller, who has been so good to us, says Elvis was on a different level, a higher plane, a mighty presence. Mindy Miller. Todd met Elvis twice more, the final time in 1977, where he took 200 British fans to what turned out to be Elvis's last two concerts in Cincinnati and Indianapolis. You are going to have to come to England to see your fans, Todd told him. One day I will, Elvis assured him. Wow. Oh, God. He presented Todd with an award for having been president of the UK fan club for 10 years. Both the Colonel and I appreciated what you do for my English fans, said Elvis. Oh, I love that, guys. Enjoy the show, Todd. Todd noticed that Elvis looked tired and pale. 6 weeks later, he heard the scarcely believable news. Elvis had died from heart failure on August the 16th, 1977, just aged 42. Though devastated, he was determined to keep the flame alive, organizing pilgrimage tours, taking British fans to Memphis, and later had to sell his collection of Elvis memorabilia to keep the club going. This included some of the shirts the Kings worn, sold for over £10,000. Though Todd says they would fetch far more today. They definitely would. Todd, yeah, but don't go to the Bridget Cruz auction. You might get the wrong one. And the letter of authenticity, make sure it's not from Priscilla. Todd stayed in touch with Colonel Tom Parker until Parker's death in 1977, when Todd himself became seriously ill and had to have a heart transplant in 1994. The Colonel ranged every day to check on him. The Colonel rang every day to check on him. So he's had a heart transplant. Wow. I hope you're well, Todd. I really do. I'm sending you love. I'm sending you good energy from all of us at Team Elvis. Now, any suffering pneumonia and pleurisy last year, and he went with his eyesight failing. Todd is reluctantly passing on the torch. Oh, Todd, we really appreciate you, Todd. We really appreciate you. And do you know what? I think that he deserves us to play that interview. I've been devoted to Elvis for such a long time. It's an obsession, he says. I'm proud to have played my part to keep the legend alive. And you should be proud, Todd. You should be proud. You have done yourself proud, my friend. And you are appreciated. You are appreciated. And we won't. You're still living. God rest, God loved you. God send you healing. And we will never forget what you did for Elvis, for your whole life, that you dedicated your whole life. And I hope you still have many more years left. Thank you so much from all of us, from Team Elvis, from all of us. And I want, before I go, I want to play that interview one more time. The interview, my favorite interview that you've done was the original. Let's see if I can find it. the one that you did way back. I think, let's really listen to this, guys, and then I'm going to have to go, because I think, let me just pause it. I think that interview, yeah, you deserve an award for that interview. That interview should go down in history. You are the original Elvis defender. We call ourselves Defending Elvis Presley. Fans want the truth. We've got Team Elvis here. We're all here together to defend Elvis Presley, but you are the original Elvis defender, and I will always respect you, always. And I will always hold you in high regard. And I really do thank you on behalf of Team Elvis. I'm going to play this and I'm going to have to go.
Remember that, as far as I can see, the book is half truth. Goldman himself said in a recent interview that if Elvis Presley was alive, he wouldn't be able to write the book. And the reason he wouldn't be able to write the book was because of the laws of libel.
What effect has the book had so far on the fans who've either read it or read extracts from it?
A lot have been very, very distressed. One or two, surprisingly enough, have said they're going to sell the collection and pack it in. But in the main, it is fair to say that it's given a lot of resolution to the fans. They're going to fight it.
But it has destroyed the Elvis image for some of them.
For one or two, but it's not destroyed the image as far as everyone else realises it. I think that the book is very, very unfair because it has a go at the music industry and the fans as well as Elvis Presley. Goldman obviously is not interested in rock music.
In what ways do you think it's unfair to Elvis Presley himself?
Well, he's not around to defend himself. Some of the facts that Goldman state that he's revealing for the first time have been well-tried legends. It's not very factual, and the interpretation with regard to the drugs is very, very far-fetched.
Well, let's look at that. I mean, the fact is, Presley did take enormous quantities of drugs, and drugs probably killed him. Now, that's true, and why shouldn't it be said?
Well, what's been forgotten is the fact that in the last few years of Elvis Presley's life, he was very, very ill. And he'd been ill for about 7 years. But, of course, he did still entertain. Goldman says that he loathed to entertain, but each year Elvis Presley was performing an incredible amount of tours.
But he was a lonely man, wasn't he?
I'm sure he was. He was lonely because he had to be. You see, Elvis was one of the first stars of his kind, and consequently, no one else had had any experience whatsoever of handling such a situation, and the easiest thing to do was to surround himself by so-called friends to protect himself.
You see, in calling for the book to be banned, I just wonder whether you're taking the whole thing too seriously, because although it may do something to diminish his personal reputation, it will do nothing to diminish the impact that his music made.
Of course it won't. In fact, I mean, a call to ban the book is going out to the fans. We don't want the fans to be hoodwinked into buying it. No one is going to stop the publisher from selling the book. But we feel, and most of the fans feel, that it isn't fair to have a publication that's really only bringing out the same old stories over and over again, none of which have really been proved.
But don't you think one of the problems is that fan clubs such as your own tend to put people like Presley on pedestals from which they are almost bound to be knocked off?
Well, that could be said, but we have a fan club for Elvis Presley because we like him. There were fan clubs for John Lennon, who sadly is now going through the mill again, because they liked him. And sad that it seems, come Sunday, no newspaper is going to say that Natalie Wood fell off a boat. It's going to be glamorised much more than that.
What do you say finally to Goldman's conclusion that Elvis Presley was overrated? He was very good to begin with, but then he abused his talent and his career went down.
I don't agree with that at all. Elvis Presley sold the equivalent of 1 billion records. That's one record for every fourth person on this earth. And if you remember, 1 in 3 is Chinese. In other words, virtually everybody's got an Elvis record. If he wasn't that good, people would not have bought them.
Mr. Slaughter, thank you very much.
Thank you.
The sad story of the last days of Elvis Presley. Like that point.
I applaud Todd Slaughter. I applaud him. And guys, we're going to have to go out with a song, aren't we? Because it's been quite a touching live stream. Thank you, Amy. Thanks, all of you. We're going to go out with a song, guys. It's going to have to be a sentimental one if I can find the one I want to play. in. We'll be back.